that's what we're going to be learning. We're going to be learning Can't Love by Triple Red. It's got this really cool, like right away when I heard it, I was like, gotta learn that. Gotta show you guys how to play it. Um, it's fairly simple. I'm going to show you the easy way, just strumming kind of way, without the fancy bar chords and all the other crazy stuff I did. Um, so I'm going to show you how to play the easy way first. Then I'm going to show you how to play the harder way with the bar chords, adding in fills, and kind of alluding as to how I'm able to do that. But first, let me put this on my laptop. Is we have to kind of get with any song, absolutely any song. This is like my go-to kind of method of doing this. Okay, if you want to break down how I do it, it's the idea of getting a very basic structure, a framework, and then figuring out what I can play with. What can I mess around with? What can I add? What would sound cool? What wouldn't sound cool? You know, there's some notes, you know, for example, if I'm just playing like that E minor chord, you know, if I start playing, that's all outside. You know, it's all outside of most of it. And in fact, yeah, the large majority of that what I played was largely outside, and it sounds really off-putting, but it depends on context. So we got to see what we can play with. We got to see where we can, you know, kind of swing this thing over so we can have fun with it. So let's go over the chords. I'll show you the chords really quick, and then I'll go into the bar chords. So the chords are E minor. You can play the open E minor chord like this. Let me just turn it a little bit. There you go. Like that. It's E minor. Then you can play C major. And then if you lift off the ring finger, you can play an A minor 7. And if you move that chord up 2 frets, that same exact shape, right there, there's your B minor. Okay? So the chords I'm playing are E minor, and I'm playing the 2nd fret of the A and the D, everything else open. Then I play the C chord, 3rd fret of the A string, 2nd fret of the D, open G, 1st fret of the B string, everything else open. I don't really play the low E, I just play from the A string down, so it sounds like this. And then for the A minor 7, all you do is take the 3rd fret off from the C, and so now you have open A, 2nd fret of the D, open G, 1st fret of the B. Sounds like that all the way to the E string, the high E string, and then move that shape 1, 2. So now my middle finger's on the 4th fret of the D, 2nd fret of the B, or sorry, 3rd fret of the B string. Everything else is open. Sounds like that. So if you really wanted to, you could just do I thought you loved, 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 I thought you loved. She said she loved, I think she loved me not. She said she loved, I think she loved me not. She said she loved, right? That kind of idea. And there you go. You can strum it. You can go from there. It just repeats over and over and over again, right? And that's pretty cool. But now let's get into the cool thing with guitar is when we can do the get an idea in where my headspace is when I do that. So now we're going to transform those open chords into bar chords, and they're going to be played very differently. This style of playing allows you to be a little bit more active, and you can think more proactively all over the fretboard instead of just sticking to one, sticking to right here in the first 3 frets of the fretboard. We want to expand, and this style of playing allows you to do that. So with bar chords, I highly encourage you to learn them, because that's really what I'm going to be using here. So with the first chord, E minor, right? Let's change that a little bit. So now that we have the basic structure down, we can play that chord as a minor chord, but we can mess around with it a little bit. For example, maybe instead of having this octave, maybe I want that minor 7 like that. So let's use that. We're going to use E minor 7. So at the 7th fret, starting from the A string, you bar with your first finger all the way down to the high E. So it sounds like this. Right? And what we're going to do is add the 9th fret of the D. And then we're going to play the 8th fret of the B. And everything else that we play is going to be barred, so it sounds like this. It's the 7th fret of the A, 9 on the D, 7 on the G, 8 on the B, 7 on the high E. Right? So it sounds like that. That's our E minor 7 chord. Okay, so now that we have that, over here we were just playing a basic old C. Let's keep this kind of different theme going on, and let's transform this chord too. Instead of it just being a good old C bar chord like this, and if you notice I'm using my thumb, I tend to do that a lot with these chords, because with your thumb, there, you're allowed to add all this other melody very easily. So doing bar chords, at least the low E string, the ones that start on the low E string bar chords, I like to use my thumb. So I know the root note here is going to be the 8th fret of the low E string, so that's C, but I want to transform that into being a little bit more spacey and more like very sparse is what I mean. I want it to be there, but I don't need it to be the full, major 7 chord. I don't need it to sound like that. I could just use that right there. And that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to do 8th fret of the low E. I'm going to mute the A string with my thumb, muting the D string with my middle finger, or actually my first finger. And then I'm playing 7th fret of the G string, 8th fret of the B string, and I'm smacking all the strings by muting everything else, so it sounds like this. And what that allows you to do is it just gives you more, a change. It gives you a big enough change that you don't need to, have this full, you could do that all the time, every day, all day. You can have that major 7 chord as big as you want, as many notes as you want, but for me, I like to have that. Right, and being able to do all that, and having less notes means you can add more, right? So if you're using less notes in a chord, and you're only playing, say 3 notes of a major 7 chord, which is what we did right there, it allows me to, if I want to add color to it, I can do it any way I want. So I could do... But I pick and choose the color. I pick and choose what notes I'm adding in there. And it's the same way, like if you've ever done painting, it's like when you're mixing colors and you have your basic primary colors. It's the same exact way with music, is that you have your basic primary colors and you can add them in. Now, how do I know which notes to add? That comes from knowing the key of the song and understanding the chord structure or the chord progression, right? So we know we go from E to C to A minor to B minor. Well, all of that is in the key of G major. Or Or if you want to be more particular to this song, it's all in the key of E minor. A song is only ever in the major key or in the minor key. There is no harmonic minor key. There is no Dorian key. There is no Phrygian key. There's no whole tone key. There's none of that. It's either major or it's minor, and it can shift throughout the song depending on how complex it is, or it can feel really far out, but it's really either major or minor. So understanding that rule, this is really just a minor progression. You know, E minor to C, A minor to the B minor, right? It's just a minor progression. So I can use the E minor scale. If I know right off the bat, and maybe not off the bat, but definitely, you know, through my many years of playing guitar and improvising and trying different scales and different chords and how they relate to one another, I see that all of these are all part of the G major scale, but also the part of the E minor scale. The G major scale uses the same exact notes as the E minor scale. That's a very important tool that I use every single day that I play guitar, is that if, for example, I know I'm playing in the key of E minor, I also know that the notes that I use for the G major scale shape, if I know it, all the way up the neck, it works. All of those notes will work and it'll fit perfectly. So don't be afraid to learn a little bit of theory because it helps you immensely. Okay, so now we go from that C major. Sorry to make a tangent. I just want to be thorough. Let's go over to A minor and let's transform this a little bit. I like the sound of the A minor, right? But I'm going to make it a little bit easier. You know, just a little bit easier to feel, and then, you know, shift it if I need to. But this is basically what I play is an A minor 7, but I'm adding this note right here, which is just another, you know, I'm not adding the 13, I'm adding, it's just that 7, and then the minor third, so it's really just an A minor 7 chord is what I'm playing here. It just sounds fuller, I think. Instead of playing that, I play like that. So what I'm doing is 5th fret with my thumb on the low E, and I'm muting the A string. My first finger bars from the D string down, 5th fret, all the way on up to the high E string, so it sounds like this. And then if you notice, I use my pinky, and I play the, 8th fret of the B and the high E, so I'm actually doing a double bar, which means that I'm barring one finger over here, but I'm also barring my pinky on the B and the E string, and then it sounds like this, right? And then for the last chord going to the B minor, right, you can take this shape, move it up 2 frets, so now it would be everything barred on the 7th fret, and then I use my pinky on the 10th fret, like that. Or what I like to do is play a B minor 11, like that. And it's 7th fret of the B, or 7th fret of the low E, muting the A, 7th fret of the D and the G, and then I bar my first finger on the B and the E on the 5th fret. Sounds like that. So now let's kind of just play these chords. So here's E minor 7. Here is C major 7. And here is A minor 7. And then here's B minor 11. Right? And there you go. Those are the notes. And then the only little fill I'm going to teach you is kind of just anything that kind of sticks out. So I'll play through it kind of once. Kind of like how it's done in the song. So it goes like this. Right? And what you do there is if you're playing a chord, what I like to do is maybe do a hammer-on one note or something. So what I do here on the E minor chord is maybe I'll do a hammer-on from the 8th fret to the 10th fret. So it sounds like this. maybe I'll do it on the G string, 7 and 5 or 7 and 9. And then when I go to C major 7, I add the 10th fret of the high E, right? And then when I go to the A minor 7, I just add the 7th fret of the G string, so 5 to 7, like that, just so you're noticing that I'm playing the chord, and any other finger that is free allows me to add those notes. So I'm just adding with my ring finger. And then if I do the B minor 11, you know, maybe that I'll leave it like that, right? So let's keep going, and then the very last fill is when you get to the B minor 11. So it kind of sounds like this. It's just a little slide, and it's from the 9th fret on the G, 11th fret on the B, or I'm sorry, 10th fret of the B. So it's 9 on the G, 10 on the B, and I just slide that up from 9 on the G to 11 on the G to 12 on the B. So it goes like this. Right, so 9, 10, and up to 11, 12. That's really what I want to say. So 9 on the G, 10 on the B. Slide up to 11 on the G, 12 on the B. So it just slides up, back down, like that. So now, what I challenge you to do is taking this song as this very simple progression, keeps playing itself over and over, and just, you know, experiment. Try different things. I can be here all day and I could tell you, oh yeah, well if you do, you know, maybe this chord, or maybe not that one, but maybe something like a... experiment all day and practice with it. So if you're going to be experimenting with this song and this progression, you know, try in different keys also. So instead of playing E minor, you know, try it in F sharp minor. So it might sound like this. Experiment and try different things, because it's gonna build your vocabulary as you go. Okay, that's really the key of guitar playing, especially in the improvisational sense, is that you play out with other people, you try other songs, you try backing tracks, you learn them by ear or you learn by tab, so that way each little bit of information you get that's different. You know, maybe one song you didn't know what vibrato was, and then one song taught you, like, oh look, vibrato, you know, it's that. You know, so change it up. You could even do something like a... You know, and just trying completely different things. Just... just 2 notes. Now that you know the chords and you know the basic framework of it, you could figure out, you know, different chords that you can use. Or you could substitute chords. So you could do E minor over to like a G. To an A minor over to like a B dominant 7. You know, you could mess around and try different things, and you know, maybe instead of going from the... You know, maybe you'll add that D chord in there or something, so... mess up. You know, it's not about being like, oh, what am I doing? Like, it doesn't sound good. Well, that's what practice is for. I haven't played all day, so I'm kind of a little bit loopy right here. You know, I'm just playing a bunch of different stuff. But, you know, with this comes the practice. Okay, so there you go. There's how you play Can't Love. I gave you the easy way, gave you the harder way. Hopefully that explains a little bit better how to add this like Hendrixy type playing. Have a good one.